Everybody, this is day 1410 and coming on just a little bit earlier today. Let's see if I'm on. Hopefully, people can see and hear and join in on this 1410th day since Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss, and we do not have his remains. This is really important because the murder date is in July 2020. Okay, make sure you guys can hear the murder date is July 2020. On April 24th, 2024, right? Short of 4 years later, because of working day in and day out, providing leads, collecting hard evidence, circumstantial evidence, and irregularities, documenting them, turning them in as criminal complaints, as reports, over and over again. I'm not joking. I don't know how many that we've done. Day in and day out. One day we'll count them all to all these 15 plus agencies, right? All of these different agencies that are supposed to be doing their job. And we have federal investigations going on because of it, state investigations going on because of it, in the murder of our son, involving the murder of our son. That includes Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, okay? That includes many people. And so to get that notice of death, they were driven to do that. You see, it's kind of like when they were, how can you deny that Enrique Roman Martinez was brutally murdered? How can you deny that? And his family do not have the resources to get answers that I'm sure that they want, and to get justice and accountability. And it's a travesty. It's a travesty. So for him, we're fighting. For Vanessa Guillen, her mother still, according to what I've heard her say in her at the gate when they revealed the gate to her name, to me, my opinion, my heart broke because it was clear that that family did not feel that they got justice, that the real murderers were caught in the act of murdering Vanessa Guillen. Okay? The same thing with many others. Lavina Johnson, I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Glendon Oakley Jr. I'm thinking of, and this is in my opinion, okay, separate from what Asia Graham's situation, okay, Elder Fernandez's situation. These young soul, these are, I say, they are our country's sons and daughters. Our young sons and daughters that volunteered to serve in the military. And there are security issues. There are crimes going on in the military. And they need to be addressed because it's a national security issue. And Richard and a lot of these young people are whistleblowers, a lot of them. And Richard was no different. He was absolutely a whistleblower. Belen Rocha said he was a whistleblower. The soldiers in his unit said he's a whistleblower. Um, Others have said he's a whistleblower. Um, the reports have said he's a whistleblower because he was calling FBI Houston. He was calling uh, Washington, D.C. The IG were all over the barracks because of him. Um, he was calling 911, okay? Reaching out for help. And he was murdered in July of 2020. And his case is in connection with the Walmart mass shooting. The Walmart mass shooters, because there's many of them, the Walmart mass shooters are walking around. The murderers are walking around. And the case is essentially like in hold, because they don't want the evidence. The evidence is so clear. So, you take a half a day and look through all the articles and really look through the forensics of the Walmart mass shooting for just not even a few hours. And you absolutely see that it was orchestrated, that Patrick Wood Crusius could not carry out this alone, his situation, that he could not have done what they claim in the media by these media sweethearts, Ernest Christopher Grant, Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo visited Ernest Christopher Grant. I think he needs to be arrested, right? I think he needs to be arrested. But what these and who the family members are of all of these people, how they're connected, the ones that spread the false narrative, that absolutely the evidence, the forensic evidence, says a different story, because Patrick Crusius, when he's still alive, right? He's still alive. When he surrendered himself, he didn't have one drop of blood on him, not one drop of blood. And he surrendered himself to a Hispanic police officer. Nothing fits. Nothing. He was not a white supremacist. He was not after to kill Hispanics, because why would he surrender himself if he was out to kill Hispanics? If he had no mercy, right? And then we find out that he has a severe mental health condition, right? Not an illness, a condition, which means like autism, right? And then, they also listed some other things that he had. And all of these can be combined. You can have more than one condition. And he's just unfit, unable to do what they said. I mean, that's why he had to wear the hearing protection, because if you're autistic, you can't handle any kind of loud, sudden noises, right? You can't operate that way. So we've turned in over and over and over again all of this information, including with Bill Hicks, why the Walmart mass shooting case is connected to Richard's case through 3905 Bliss Avenue, through Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, through many other pieces of evidence. And the big one, is Danae Katzen with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and 3905 Bliss Avenue, and more, because of this medical examiner who is illegal, who comes into play with 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue. And, this is why they have to change names and do this and do that and manipulate and even steal identity, because they're always trying to cover up. They're always trying to prevent the truth from coming out. They all live lies. And we have uncovered, exposed enough of it, and have given it to them, given it to the authorities even though they're up to no good. But even they have to maintain some kind of production in their positions, right? And they were then driven to give us the notice of death, the casualty report on April 24th, 2024 for our whistleblower son who was supposed to be under whistleblower protection. They called it off for that day in July, when he was murdered. He didn't show up for work. Um, and you see that, you know, they could delay from July 2020 to April 2024. But now, all of a sudden, with all the paperwork, because from April 2024, with all the paperwork, because we've been being attacked, Richard was smeared during this time. We've had to address all of these things. We've had to do the paperwork for the SGLI disbursement, the casualty uh, disbursement paperwork. We've had to all the family different things going on. Um, to it was such a shock. Even if you know it and you know it and you know it, it's such a shock when you actually have the notice of death in your hands. It's horrendous. I don't wish it upon anybody. And Major General Eisenhower, who is the commanding general of Fort Bliss, has still, look, what are we, May 3rd? No, June 3rd? We're June 3rd, right? He still has not even sent us a note of condolences, called us for condolences, answered our questions about our security uh, issues on Fort Bliss, to go there and to organize a memorial for Richard, which we were offered at the beginning of this. And no, they collude behind our backs. They collude behind our backs and then, you know, uh, give us a 3-day notice to travel across the country to go to attend a memorial for Richard that we have had no part in organizing. No, this is unacceptable. What are they going to say or do? That we've had no input in the memorial service for our son. This is so egregious, so disrespectful. We don't even know what his rank is because of all of the retaliation that he had faced, and they are doing an investigation on the Phil Grade Article 15 that was unlawful and the GOMAR that was unlawful, because we have the body cam video of Richard being framed by the Ken Canine cop in a well lit parking lot at midnight. Uh, you know, it, it's just for a traffic stop, while you're parked in a well lit parking lot. So all of the GOMAR, all of the retaliation was supposedly, we were told for years, was based on this traffic stop. And because of the body cam footage, because of, uh, you know, uh, Richard being so beautiful, being so respectful, being so cooperative, being so with it, the case was dismissed because there was nothing there. There was nothing there. And what were they going to do? Take back, give back his rank and everything? No, he was murdered then. He was murdered. You see, because what they did to him was a retaliation for the whistleblowing. Clearly. And so we don't even have a proper rank for Richard. We don't have a proper rank for him for the memorial. We have not been included in, the favorite hymns that he liked to sing, the passages that he liked, to notify our friends and family members so that they can attend. No, today we were given a 3-day notice. And the horrendous thing about that is that it was essentially an let's uninvite them, because we have to go to another funeral that's on Friday. We already made all of our plans to go to another funeral of a very, very close family member. And so, they didn't even ask us, hey, we would like to have it on the 6th of June. Are you available? Well, no, we're going to another funeral. And we haven't even had a part in organizing this memorial for Richard. We haven't even been given any kind of regulations or what we're allowed to do at this memorial for Richard. How are we allowed to participate? I've, been part of the military my whole life. My whole life. I understand. I've been attending chapels most of my entire life. They've been chapels. Was married in a chapel on Fort Hood. Baptized my children, and, well, not all of them, but most of them in chapels on military installations. Richard was baptized in a chapel. All Saints, right there in Heidelberg. Nachrichter Kaserne. And now you have Major General Eisenhower. He doesn't even know how to pick up a pen and write down a few notes. I send my condolences. When would be a good time to have a memorial? You have 2 years, because I looked up the regs. You have 2 years. There's time. Why is there a rush? And why is there only a 3-day notice? You know why? Because they don't want us to come. And right when we have to attend another family funeral, close member, we can't even grieve. We have to deal with this kind of injustice, this kind of hard-heartedness. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace for our military. And, the way they treat a Gold Star family, we're a Gold Star family, so they say. They present us with the pens. You're a Gold Star family. And yet, they are so disrespectful. They are so evil. And this is the thing. Hey, if they don't come, then we have a problem with Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. We have a problem with KTSM. See, KTSM is connected to Danae Katzen. Is connected, to 3905 Bliss Avenue, which is connected to the Walmart mass shooting. You see, the media in El Paso, KTEP, KTSM, El Paso Matters, that is owned by El Paso Community Foundation, who was under investigation for fraudulently dispersing the monies of the Walmart Victims Fund. They were not being honest, was the allegation of who they were giving the funds to. And they were being not they weren't being investigated by me. They were being investigated by Yvonne Rosales when she was district attorney, and she is still the rightful district attorney. And now you know why there's motive for them to attack her the way they did, retaliate against her the way. This is $1 million, maybe billion dollar company, a foundation, right? Connected to West Star Bank, where they required the victims to open up a bank account there. So you see, there's a lot of up to no goodness that's going on. And this is just another way to retaliate against us. I think it's an effort, and this was my husband. I thought it was absolutely a great point. Is he was telling the casualty affairs officer today that he said this is just their way of creating a story in the media to smear our son further, to smear our family further, to say, see, we did a memorial and the family didn't show up, and not tell the rest of the story. So please take this live stream, take, the announcements. I'm going to have to put this all in a short paragraph for people to understand that this is an absolute disgrace what they're trying to do, and a manipulation and a hit job, or whatever you want to call it, because this is a no, absolutely no. They cannot have a memorial for our son in 3 days. Absolutely no can they have a memorial on Fort Bliss with this kind of deception, with this kind of disrespect, with this kind of not even us participating. I mean, if they didn't want us to come, which clearly there's security breaches everywhere, right? And we have asked Major General Eisenhower how he was going to address the security breaches so that our family can come there and feel safe on Fort Bliss, because we've been harassed for over 2 years and threatened for over 2 years ever since the whistleblower came out. I mean, it kind of started a little bit with Nadal Baim, the FBI agent that said that Richard's remains, partial remains now that we know, was found in Mexico. They didn't, that was a bad truth coming out for them, because that means that now Richard is a binational capital murder case. A binational capital murder case. They crossed that border, and they didn't want people to know that. But then when whistleblowers started coming out, especially the judicial officer whistleblower that pointed to Leilani Hart and the CID agent there on Fort Bliss that she was having sexual relations with, as tampering with Richard's file with unauthorized access into the CID, bragging. Leilani Hart was bragging. And that was reported, y'all. That was reported that she was bragging that she ran the CID on Fort Bliss, that she ran it, that she had unauthorized access because she ran that office. And so when the whistleblower came out that they hurt Richard, that they admitted, that Tavita News admitted to hurting a soldier, doing something bad to a person, then, the retaliation against us and against the whistleblower started immediately, because they panicked. And this act to not include us in the decision-making process of Richard's memorial on Fort Bliss, and then just to give us a 3-day notice when we're over here in South Carolina. And to be honest with you, ever since the whole COVID mandate thing, the craziness and with the planes and stuff, even when we moved to Fort Bliss to rally for Richard for over 3 months, um, we didn't we didn't fly. We drove. So it takes quite a bit of time to drive across country, especially when you have a large family. You know, and I understand that this time they're offering to pay for flights. But guess what? Yesterday we had a death in the family. So now we have another funeral. But they didn't even, and today was the notice. They didn't even say, "Hey, we're thinking about this date. What do you think?" Oh, we can't. We can't. We have another funeral to go to. Why can't we honor both? Why can't we grieve both? What is the rush here when we get 2 years? It took them 4 years, almost 4 years, to give us the notice of death. The notice of death that confirmed, and everyone needs to understand this because they don't flash a sign up for you. Okay? They don't do that. But it confirmed that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. Why do I say that? And can I say that? Absolutely. Because they don't have anything else. There's nothing else. The only option with all of the evidence, and there's lots of it, there's so much of it that they were driven to even give us the notice of death. They didn't want to give us the notice of death. That's why it took almost 4 years. But there's so much evidence there. And by the grace of God, we've been able to, present it and present it and present it and present it over and over and over again. That they were then driven. We have enough people now, you see, because we have tens of thousands of followers now. And so we have enough people to drive them to give us that notice of death. So now, why didn't they include us in the creating of the memorial, putting it together, the organization of it? I mean, couldn't we participate a little bit? Couldn't we read something? Couldn't we add some pictures? Couldn't we, put his favorite music up there? What's going on here? It's called retaliation. Because now we've discovered that behind the Real Fit Fam El Paso are military officers. Military officers, and I would say even some agents. I mean, what do you call Ernest Christopher Grant, right? What do you call him? A media sweetheart? You think he just did what he did because he's a media sweetheart? You think that they just present him in the media over and over again because they just like him? Because he's just so good? Or because he's an agent? I think it's because he's an agent. I think that so much of what we are given in the media is orchestrated and controlled. Who said who, it's kind of getting out there, this Operation Mockingbird or something like that, where they control what's being told to us, hypnotizing us, controlling our thoughts. And we're all subjected to that, right? We're all subjected to that. And we have to fight it every day to say, wait a minute, what is the real truth? And so that's why we've been very, very patient every day. Hello, Kathleen. Thank you for coming on. Did they come to your door with the notice? They came to our door, yes. And they did give it to us, yes. I am so sorry for your loss. Thank you. They want to have a service for Richard here. They gave us a notice today that they want to have a memorial, that they are having a memorial service on the 6th, 3 days from now. And didn't include us at all. Now, that is so disgraceful. And it's a no. Absolutely not will you exclude us from our son's memorial. Absolutely not. And, so I don't know how to, wield that disgrace, that no to Fort Bliss, to the military leadership. That's why I'm coming on here for your help. Because absolutely no way should they have a memorial for Richard that does not include the participation of the family, those that loved Richard the most, those that love Richard the most. And to exclude us and to not even have a say-so in anything that's presented about him. You see, they don't want us to say he was a whistleblower standing up to the traffickers that are right here on this base. See, they don't want that. They do not want that. Why? They like the trafficking. They want the trafficking. They want to continue the trafficking. They don't want to admit that they have trafficking. I mean, a 14-year-old girl, this is not even me, a 14-year-old girl was living in the barracks, being pimped out every night to soldiers. You think it was just one soldier? 14-year-old. And then they film it, and they make this porn video, the child porn video. And that's why Dallas Hart was panicking, because they were being audited. They were being looked into, and he was panicking, and he wanted those porn videos so I guess he could destroy them or hide them or whatever. And then Leilani Hart is dragging another person into this, saying, oh, they were in my house searching for the porn videos. And now, so this is just a maneuver, a military maneuver to protect the child traffickers, to protect the child rapists, to protect the child pornography producers, to protect the weapons traffickers, to protect the ammunition traffickers, to protect the narcotics traffickers. This is what this is, because we know, we absolutely know that the barracks were marketplaces for illegal drugs. How, we have so many cases. We absolutely know that M4s were at the scene of the Walmart shooting, that there were multiple shooters. Well, M4s are military weapons. We have intelligence saying that the bullets were brown tip bullets. Those are special operation bullets that are not registered. This is why they don't want the Walmart case to go forward, because there's too many connections with the military. And there's too many connections with Richard's case. And so to have total control over Richard's memorial, because they're obliged to have a memorial for him, but to totally control it without any participation in the people that loved him the most is what they want. Because they don't want our soldiers, our service members families, the El Paso community, the media to cover this, and us to have an opportunity to say, look, this is a trafficking. Richard was a trafficking problem. This is an abuse of power problem. This is the murder of a whistleblower. This is a cover up of his murder. This is what this is. And this is connected to the Walmart mass shooting, which the El Pasoans have been waiting for 5 years to get justice for their loved ones. And here we have a DA that's a usurper in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. He's not even legally in there. He's a trespasser. He's a usurper. He did not fill out his paperwork properly, y'all. Because he couldn't. He had conflicts of interest. They just wanted someone in there so that nothing would be prosecuted. And that's why when you look at the crimes going on in El Paso, there's no prosecution. There's just plea deals. There's just plea deals. And then you have the medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz. So you have Bill Hicks, the usurper district attorney. You have Mario Raskin Ortiz, who is an illegal. He's illegally in this country. And he's not qualified to hold that position because a chief medical examiner making $438,000 a year is a judicial office, meaning he has to be an American citizen because he can give subpoenas out. He can put together an inquiry. He can put together six jury. He could put together a jury. An inquest. He can do an inquest. That's what I meant. An inquest. He can give out warrants. This position, every body, every corpse that he touches, and we have been told that he touched Richard's corpse, and he touched all of the mass shooting victims. They're all botched. The whole case is botched. And none of those death, the manner and cause of death in the death certificates can be trusted. Every one of them needs to be investigated because he's illegal and he's unqualified. And who put him there? Joanne Bernal and Veronica Escobar. She was the judge. So it's just, it's a few people in very important positions. And if the mass of people that want to be law-abiding, that love El Paso, that love their neighbor, if they would understand what's going on, then these few in like the FBI supervisory director, they have these few and it's family connections. Okay. It's nepotism, totally nepotism. Then we would understand what is going on and we can rectify it and we can easily, and we could save so many lives and we could stop 85,000 missing children in 2021 and 2022. 85 from where? The emergency intake center on Fort Bliss. And who was in charge of that? You have Ann Ogle, the CYS. She's part of it. And then you have the registered agent for the Real Fit Fam El Paso, the manager, who is a military officer who worked the emergency intake center and who also worked the Walmart mass shooting firsthand. That's a quote from him. He worked the Walmart mass shooting firsthand. And because we have tried to figure out what happened to Richard, and because Richard's case is so connected to all of these people because Richard was murdered by this same group, and the prime suspect is Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, and Dallas Hart's mother, Leilani Hart, and of course CID agent Tavita Nusa, who already has lost his badge, has already been separated from the military. So has Dallas Hart been separated from the military, and he had gone green to gold. So, you know, to understand what's going on is to participate in the great restitution, the rectifying of our system. We have to expose these people and unseat them. They need to be held accountable. And it would say, can you imagine the taxpayers' money? It would say 5 years of the Walmart mass shooting. I mean, of course, the crime and the lives and the improvement in our everyday life would be unbelievably better. But think about the monies, because we asked Austin, Texas, we asked the governor's office for the open records from Amy Snoddy to tell us how much money has been spent on the Walmart case to keep it in, I don't want to say ice, but just keep it stalled. How much has that cost? Millions, y'all. Millions upon millions. Our son's case, millions of dollars. And this is from your pockets. From your pockets. This is why they constantly want more and more taxpayers' money, because they have to cover up more and more lies. And it's so costly. It's so costly, and then we don't get the infrastructure. Then we don't get to progress as a nation. Yeah, it's this whole thing. Let me answer your questions. They want to, yes, no, it's not fair to you all. Have them change their date. Absolutely. No, we have to say no. This is unacceptable. No way. Can you have a memorial for Richard 3 days from now when we ourselves are already we already had made because yesterday when you hear that your loved one has passed away, you make arrangements. We already have made arrangements. Why can't they change their date? 3 days notice? And we have other friends and family members that want to attend. It's so terrible. You should make new flyers about Richard's services. Yes, what a great, what is Green to Gold? Okay, so Green to Gold is when you go in as enlisted. Okay, so Dallas Hart went in as an E4. I believe it was an E4. He went in as enlisted. And then they will pay for college and stuff. It's a special program. And you come out as an officer. So they had all this invested money and interest in him, and he was separated from the Army. He was separated. So, yeah, that's how he became Richard's platoon leader. But and that's a brilliant question, because did you know that his mother was also a soldier there at Fort Bliss? She was also served under Clem Coward, Major General Clem Coward, who retaliated against Richard. Why did he retaliate against Richard, the 32nd ADCOM general? And Leilani Hart served underneath him. And he was Dallas Hart's general. And Dallas Hart was given the opportunity to go green to gold. And yet, and this is important to know, he was enlisted and then he became an officer. So he had made enlisted friends and then became an officer. That's not normally you cannot do that on the same base. You have to move. They have to move you. Why did they never move Dallas Hart? He was on the same Fort Bliss where he was an enlisted soldier when he became a commissioned soldier. Something is wrong there. That you can't do that. So you know, the big eyes are on HRC, right? Human resources, those that put people in the positions that they are in. That's a very powerful position. If they can say who's going to be the general for Fort Bliss, who is going to be the FBI director, who is going to be, and we already had the first FBI, the director, what was his name? It'll come to me. He already had to leave. So this is once you see the map of this, it all makes sense. And human resources, those that place people in the positions, like if it's your cousin, if it's your husband, if it's your wife, I mean, because look, you have Nieto as a supervisory director for the FBI for El Paso, and his wife is working intelligence on Fort Bliss. The conflicts of interest here is is out of sight, is out of sight, because they're also involved with Bradford Bugado, the lieutenant colonel in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, who is the son-in-law of Nadal Baim, the FBI agent that said Richard's remains were found in Mexico. All of this is connected. And so that means this group that's connected, this small group that's connected, we can easily, we've identified them now, and we can now drive accountability and replace them with qualified individuals that don't want to participate in the cartel criminal network and hurt the community. That's what that means. So thank you for your support. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I see. Thank you. Yeah, because Richard knew something, and you have done a great on this case. It we are astounded. We're just like every day our jaw drops because it's just one more crumb, and we piece it together. And when you make that board and when you make a timeline, you start to see things. And for the sake of Glendon Oakley Jr., Asia Graham, people don't even know Glendon Oakley Jr.'s name. They don't know that he was found dead in his barracks room April 8th of 2020, just a few months before Richard. Nobody knows that he was the whistleblower for the Walmart mass shooting, that he blew the whistle, that there were M4s in the mall in the hands of people that were dressed all in black, right? And he was so retaliated. And then in April, he was retaliated against, John. And, what do they tell me? Oh, well, he went AWOL. No, he was so retaliated, and it's all filmed. You can see it in his interviews. Because he told Wolf Blitzer, there were mall cops. That's what he called them. Mall cops with M4s. In the mall. Not in Walmart. In the mall. And the next day he was crying. Why? Not because of the victims of the Walmart shooting, not because of that stress, because he was being retaliated against for saying what he saw, for saying the truth. And in April then of 2020, April 8th, he was found dead in his barracks. He had went to Fort Hood, to his home, to his parents, and they brought him back to El Paso, and on April 8th, he was found dead in his barracks. It is, my heart goes out to his family and to him, and it's just, yeah, that we were able to expose that more, and point out the videos. But look him up, Glendon Oakley Jr. What a beautiful, beautiful young man. And you can judge for yourself. And I want to say that they've allowed Richard to be so smeared. And that's not Richard. Richard is beautiful. And you know, and they try to do that. They try to make this world painted an uglier picture than what it is. You know, the world is a beautiful place. And yes, we have some criminals, but we have really beautiful people, and they just try to make it worse and worse. And with that body cam footage, Richard is so beautiful in that body cam footage, um, and they can't argue it. He's just like, yes, sir, standing at attention, answering all the questions really nice, um, doing everything that they asked him to do. And he was retaliated constantly, continuously, severely because of that traffic stop. And they smeared his name, just like they smear Glendon Oakley's name. So it's really good to go to the videos and to judge for yourself. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for tonight. And we will be back tomorrow, God willing. Please share, please comment, but please share and please comment and please like and please share and please share. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye. Good night.